Bloodshot is directed by David S.G. Wilson and stars Vin Diesel, Isa Gonzalez, and Guy Pearce. And this is the debut of David Wilson. This is his very first movie. This is based on a Valiant Comics character of the same name and is the story of Ray Garrison, played by Vin Diesel, a soldier who loses his wife in a very tragic way due to a horrible mercenary, and then is himself killed. But he is brought back to life by a bunch of scientists, led by Guy Pearce, who give him powers of basically healing and being an ultimate soldier of sorts, and he goes after the people who have done him wrong and killed his wife in the first place. However, there is another catch to this, which he is not aware of at this time. However, I'm not going to talk about it here, because spoilers. Unless you saw the trailer, in which case you already know everything there is to know about this movie, which is very unfortunate. This movie's entire plotline, including its major twist, is in the trailer. 90% of the movie is in there. This movie, like I said, was a directorial debut. And it's written by Eric Heiserer and Jeff Wadlow. Eric Heiserer has written some pretty cool stuff, including Arrival. But Jeff Wadlow has right now got 2 credits to his name, 2 major credits. Truth or Dare and Fantasy Island. The latter of which I reviewed very recently. I gave it an F. Truth or Dare, which I did not review originally, ended up number 2 on my list of worst movies of 2018. And he did the story and the screenplay of this movie. Yeah. So naturally, I was not exactly excited when I heard that name, and now that I've seen Bloodshot, yeah, I did not really like this movie. This was a mess. There is very unbridled potential throughout the entirety of this film. Like, there is potential to do a lot of really cool stuff and to make it very unique. But the film doesn't do any of those things. It's very focused on being a very generic, by the numbers, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, boring superhero movie. In the biggest action sequence of the film, of sorts, it's this big tunnel sequence, which is sort of in the trailer. I found myself falling asleep. I was kind of bored. And I thought it was just me, and then later on I asked my friend, and he said, I was going to sleep too. So, oh, I guess this was across the theater. I was at the screening tonight. There were a few members of press too, but there was a lot of public. And I didn't really hear anybody, respond to it in a really positive way. Everything seemed to be pretty quiet. Usually press screenings are quieter, but this was really, really quiet. Like, it felt uncomfortably quiet. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. That's great. But I just couldn't find any in this movie. Vin Diesel is trying with what he has. I mean, he's sort of out of his depth here, and in the moments where he has to show immense emotion, it doesn't always come through. That's not his fault though as an actor, because I have seen movies with him in it where the emotion comes through perfectly because he's directed better in those movies. He's already been in Guardians of the Galaxy where he plays a tree and he's conveyed emotion in that. Like, I don't know if you know this, but all 3 versions of Groot so far, Baby Groot, Teenager Groot, and Adult Groot, they're all voiced by him. And there's not a lot of auto-tuning done. Like, that's just, he's voiced that. And each time you feel for each version of Groot in a different way. So I know he can do a good job when directed well. He is not directed well here. So unfortunately it comes off stilted. Guy Pearce is the one person in this movie, aside from, I would say, Isa Gonzalez, who is having a fun time. She is enjoying herself in this movie, Isa Gonzalez. But Guy Pearce is just having a ball. He knows this probably isn't working out too well. The script has some really silly concepts and ideas which don't really make sense. A lot of it ties into his character. Feels kind of pointless, but he's having a fun time with it. That's really it. Really? I mean, yeah. What else am I supposed to say? I don't know. There's not much more that I really liked about this movie. It wasn't exactly a good-looking movie. It wasn't exactly amazingly shot or anything. There's very little in it which is really, satisfying in terms of action. There's one scene involving an elevator falling, which was overly CGI'd. Did not really enjoy that scene at all. that was not the best, really. The film is poorly paced. I feel like it should have gotten over way earlier. There are significant plot holes throughout the entirety of it, which make absolutely no sense. On the way out of the film, I was talking about it with a friend, and we just kept coming up with more and more things as we talked about it. In fact, just now, like 10 minutes before I started filming this, we had another idea, and I thought, oh, they should have done that. Certain lost opportunities throughout the entirety of this film. I just wasn't really happy with this. It was a huge mess. And at the time where comic book movies are doing so well and there are so many strides being made, it's unfortunate that movies like this are still there. Yeah, I said overly CGI'd, right? Because it is. I mean, you can really tell that the CGI budget is overblown in a couple of shots because you can see the bubble people and it just doesn't look really good. In fact, there's one shot which kind of reminded me of like the Matrix Reloaded with the multiple Smiths, a fight that I really like, but at one point in time you can really tell the shots were CGI'd. There's a moment like that in this movie. I was not a big fan of that. Like, we're in 2020 now. There's better CGI effects out there. What are we doing? So yeah, Bloodshot disappointments. Not a really good movie at all. I mean, aside from a couple of performances that I really liked, the first act was intriguing. I'll give it that. The first act is intriguing. I was interested in it for about 20 minutes or so. But that's it. Aside from that, this was not a really good movie at all. I'm gonna give Bloodshot a 4.5 out of 10. Because I don't know. I could go lower. I honestly could go lower, but whatever. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.